Courtney and I were like, this is the time we have to go all in and help everyone. So we started building out Entrepreneista to be more than just our podcast. We're in a time right now, it's never been easier to start a business, right? There's all of these tools that are out there. There's all of these resources that are out there that you can find, but it's very hard now to stay in business. And when you start building that confidence, you can go so much farther, faster. The good news is that once women get into our community, a lot of them don't actually feel that way anymore because now they're surrounded by support. If you are serious about growing your community, you want the support, you want connection, you don't want to build alone, because building alone is not fun. We're in here for life together because we're building together.
Hi friends, it's Tracy Holland, your host on Potential to Powerhouse. Today we are talking to a woman who is an expert on entrepreneurship. Not only is she an expert, but she's actually built the largest female entrepreneur group along with her business partner, Courtney Spritzer, called the Entrepreneista League. And it's a community for women founders, which provides resources and support necessary in all stages of your business. And so if you are a female entrepreneur and you are looking for your people, this is the place to go. And it's not only online, but it is also in person. So one of the things I'm going to cover today in our conversation that I want you to listen for is what are some of the issues that you as the listener, but also that Stephanie and Courtney are seeing day in and day out from their over 3,000 female members who are all entrepreneurs coming together to share experiences, issues, and perceived stories that are or are not working in their favor. How do they extract those stories and how do they help move forward and excellence, all of these women entrepreneurs to be the success that they were born to be? So one of the things that you will hear today is Stephanie shares her journey on managing her health challenges. And she has multiple sclerosis, face that, as well as infertility. And so if there's something that is flagging you in your current moment, if it's a health issue or something that's preventing you in your mind from seeking and being in your greatness, today's episode is for you. Because as you're going to hear, we are able to overcome anything and everything that we believe we can. And as advocates for you, as women advocates and successful entrepreneurs ourselves, we're here to inspire you to sit back and remember that everything is going to work out for you. So let's get started. Stephanie Cartin, welcome.
Thank you, Tracy. So excited to be here.
Thank you for being here. So I want to jump into the Entrepreneista League in a minute because I think what you're building with Courtney is incredibly important and something that I wish I had when I was starting my own journey as an entrepreneur. And I think every woman in the last 20 years who's forged their way wishes they had heard of or had a resource like Entrepreneista. So with that said, I think what's important and interesting about your story is some of the adversity that you've faced on your way there. So in terms of your own entrepreneurial path, and you've already had your own successful exit from a separate business, which I think is the reason why this all exists to begin with, is can you share a little bit with the audience on some of the adversity that you faced physically and in your own journey as you decided to figure out who you're going to be in the world, what you're going to build, and then how you have to manage?
Oh my gosh. Like how much time do we have here? You know, growing up, I was always dealing with health challenges as a child. And I learned early on how to get through things and how to keep going. And you know, people always ask me, like, were you always like this? And I was. Like, I think I was just born this way where I've just always had to overcome adversity and challenges and just figure it out. So when Courtney and I were first starting our first business, Social Flyer Marketing Agency, it is at the exact same time when I was actually diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Wow.
So, and Courtney's actually the reason I was able to get diagnosed so quickly because she had actually randomly, she was out, she fell, she hurt her arm like a few weeks before. And I woke up one morning and I couldn't move my neck at all. It was completely stiff. And I called Courtney. I was like, who was the orthopedic doctor that you went to? Because I think I have, a pinched nerve or there's something wrong. And I went to this doctor that she referred me to. And the doctor said, I think it is a pinched nerve, but let me send you for an MRI just to be sure. So she sends me for this MRI and got a call back very soon that I needed to go back for another MRI because it looked like there was lesions in my brain. And, I'm in my mid-20s right now. Courtney and I were literally just starting our business. But I will tell you, it was a blessing because it was the right time to be starting a business. I could control my own schedule to go to doctor's appointments and to figure this out. Whereas if I was still working at my corporate job, how was I going to be able to do that? And I was able to get diagnosed so quickly because I went to a doctor who was proactive and went on that path to just figure everything out. But I'll tell you, Tracy, this was my life. It was always, okay, something happens. How do I figure out how to move forward and what do I do? So I was diagnosed very quickly.
Wow. And I don't know if you have gotten chills yet listening to this, but what I love about this particular story is the way in which the breadcrumbs all laid down perfectly to bring you to that resolution or understanding with such finality and such, because when we're facing with something that monumentous, how do you even start to think about overcoming it, let alone finding out you have it to begin with?
Yeah. And when I was first diagnosed, I had actually never heard of multiple sclerosis. And I think unless someone has a friend or family member that have been diagnosed with it or you've experienced it with them, it's not, maybe more so now with social media than it was, 10 plus years ago, almost 15 years ago now when I was diagnosed, but I had no idea what it was. So I did what we all did back then. There was no ChatGPT then, but there was Google. So I went to Google and I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to die? What does this mean for me? I remember thinking, who's ever going to want to marry me or be with me having this diagnosis? So the first thing that I did was what I always do. I started connecting with other people who have MS. And I started a blog and started sharing about my experience. And I started sharing that. I made a Facebook page because back then it was really just Facebook and Facebook groups. And I started sharing and putting my story out there and finding other people that were going through this as well. And early on, I started following, I remember the MS Society back then on social media. And I had saw this article and this other woman who was sharing content with the MS Society. So what did I do? I reached out to her. And I sent her an email and I said, hey, Marnie, I saw your post.
Right.
I feel like we have a lot in common. Would love to connect with you. And we went on a coffee date together and became fast friends. And, when I tell you all the things we ended up doing together and the groups that we formed and we started raising money for the MS Society and other nonprofits as well because we had this connection. So I've always been someone who seeks that connection. I find the solutions and I just figure it out. I don't sit at home and, of course I let my emotions out and cry when I need to cry, but I find those solutions and connect with the right people.
Huge. And what happened when you found out you had multiple sclerosis? And for those that are listening that don't know what that means, can you share?
Yes. So MS is an autoimmune condition. And essentially what's happening is in my brain and actually in my cervical spine, these lesions have formed that essentially disrupt the connectors. So I've had things happen where I lost my vision. It's called optic neuritis and have had to have steroid treatments. And luckily, I'm knock on wood here, literally as we're recording, all of these different symptoms that I've had and these flare-ups that I've had from having new lesions in certain spots in my brain and my cervical spine have caused, major neurological issues like optic neuritis and having issues with my vision. I've had difficulty walking before, horrible fatigue. And what's interesting about having MS and a lot of actually other autoimmune conditions is it can look very different for every single person that has this condition. It's not this one size fits all condition. It really depends on how these lesions are affecting your specific body, and everyone's recovery is different too, and what everyone can tolerate to recover is different as well. So the hardest part for me, I would say, Tracy, has been I don't know what tomorrow is going to be. Like, I could wake up tomorrow and not have vision or not be able to walk or have terrible pain in my body. I'm thankful that I've found the right treatments and protocols that have worked for me, but it doesn't mean it will always be that way.
Right. Hey, gorgeous friends, just for a second, if you would do me a huge favor, if Potential to Powerhouse has touched your heart, inspired you, made you pause, made you think differently, been a resource for you, would you do me the favor to right now take a second to give us a rating and review? It makes such a difference, and we so appreciate hearing from you. Thank you. High five. And so for those listening who say, I'm faced with these issues and I don't know how to overcome, I don't have enough cash flow, or I have team members who aren't, making life easy, or my house burned down in the fires, or whatever we're all faced with in these different circumstances. What would you say was the thing that you leaned on during that time to bring you out of that dark place and into a place of like, okay, Steph, it's time to get back to programming?
I would say two things. One, just community and support. So always surrounding myself with people or finding people who can help and not being afraid to ask for help when I need it. I'm the first person that just wants to give and give and give. And it's very hard for me sometimes to ask for help and to receive. But in those moments when you need help, there are so many good, kind, caring people out there that absolutely want to help, want to support, but you have to ask for it. And people will show up and they will help. Yes. So that is the first thing for me. And then the other is just that belief that, tomorrow's a new day. I'd always tell myself, in all the medical challenges that I've been through, from being diagnosed with MS to having, going through infertility, a very complicated pregnancy, tomorrow's a new day. Even with having a really bad day today, I can start again tomorrow, and just being grateful and thankful that I have tomorrow. What resources can I put in place? What can I learn? What can I figure out? Who can help me figure this situation out to get to tomorrow and to feel better? And that's really what's gotten me through everything.
I love Dr. Benjamin Hardy's and Dan Sullivan's book, Who Not How. Have you read this book?
I have not read that book, so give me the Cliff Notes.
Oh gosh, it's so important. So one of the biggest things that I've realized in the last 3 years as a woman entrepreneur is that one thing men do really successfully and well is play on team sports. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
They think like a team. So as soon as a man, my men in my network and my resources in my businesses are so vital to my success. And what I admire so much is when they are facing an issue, the first thing they say to themselves is, who am I going to call? I'm going to call my guy, John, from business school. I'm going to call Larry, who I worked at the firm with. I'm going to call Elliot, and he's someone that I did banking with, and he's going to know how to navigate. And that's really their first line of defense is building their team.
That's been mine.
Right?
Yes.
And I think as women, we how it, right? So the how is, instead of who do I call, it's how do I get through this and how do I navigate this by myself? And what I'm hearing you say is your ticket to success and getting yourself not only in the right mindset, but also in this very successful business exit, number one, and building this number two business, is you really went to the who right away.
Yeah.
Not the how.
Yes. Everything is figure outable when you surround yourself with people who can contribute and can help and can share, and you give too, right? Courtney and I are always, give first and we can all grow together. And when you have that network, when you have that connection, when you have that community, when you build relationships, you can literally get through anything. You need to know who you can pick up and call and text and who can be there for you.
Oh my gosh. So if you're listening right this second, pull over whatever you're facing. And I have this on my notes on my phone. So if someone were to steal my phone, the most important thing I have on my phone, guys, just so you know, is in my notes section. And I probably have 1,000 notes. You know that note app?
Oh yes, I have all those in there too.
I mean, okay. And my notes, some of them are open, some of them are locked. And the reason they're locked is because I have the secret to everything in that one note. So for example, I keep notes on people who in social and digital, who are the social and digital like experts of all kingpins of all time, who they are, how I met them, and what they do. I have capital raising. I have a note section of every single person I have ever met, come into contact or developed a relationship, and I just put them into my notes.
Yeah.
And I do that across every single thing that I touch, because sometimes we get into the how too fast. And we should be opening that note section, for me at least. I open that and think, oh my gosh, look at these resources I'm sitting on. I'm sitting on this gold mine of network and resources. I am not alone. And even if there's someone on that list that I haven't spoken to in 3, 4, 5, 6 years, I guarantee you, if I send them an email or reach out and say, hey, I just thought of someone this week. His name's Mark Hauser. He's one of my favorite people. And he happens to be in finance and investing and capital raising. He's such a brilliant man, based in New York, someone I've absolutely loved and admired his career for so long. I haven't talked to him in like 3 or 4 years. I ran into someone who said, oh, I just saw Mark Hauser at this event. And I thought, I got to call Mark Hauser. I miss that man so much. And, you know, what I would say is we can lose sight of the amount of brand and integrity and character equity we have built by relationships we have managed and maintained over the years.
Yes.
We are rich in relationship. We are rich in network. And you have millions and millions and millions of dollars of access right there sitting on your phone with relationships that you're not thinking about in this moment. And so how do you bridge yourself into getting unstuck? And if you're facing an adverse situation, whether it's a health issue or an infertility issue, because that can be paralyzing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
When you're trying to have a child and you're not able to conceive, it can absorb all your mental energy, all of your well-being. So talk to me about what you have thought of as you're facing this management between the stresses of building and growing a business, plus the fact that basically your prescription is to be not in stress.
Yes.
Right?
I know that is the challenge of having a chronic health condition and building a business. But you know, when you can build something that actually works for you, it can work. And you just have to make sure you're taking care of yourself. So something I did for myself this year, I put a treadmill next to my desk right now so I can actually make sure I'm walking every day.
Awesome.
So, I mean, this past year, so we do all of these virtual learning and networking events inside the Entrepreneista League, and I would see our members on these lives, and they're walking on their treadmill while they're working. And I'm sitting there going, that is so awesome. You guys are amazing. And then I thought to myself over the holidays, I'm like, why am I not doing that and taking care of myself? I have the ability to do that. And it's reminding myself that I'm in control of this business.
Yes.
And if I want to walk while I'm on these calls, I can do that too. And that's the beauty of building a business that you own for all of us. Like, we can build the business that works for us. And if things are getting stressful, we have to make sure we are taking care of ourselves first.
Yes.
Because if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't build a business. It doesn't work that way.
It's so true. Stephanie, I just had lunch with another very successful woman entrepreneur. I was saying, tell me what your day-to-day is like, because I always love hearing women talk about their business and how they've built it, exactly to your point, is around their lifestyle or around their life needs. And she said, you know, I'm so ADHD that sitting behind a computer at a desk is like soul killing for me. And I said, well, how do you make money? I don't understand. Like, what's your revenue model? And she said, you know, how I realized I bring the most value to the business is creating ads, creating content, talking to customers, being front facing in front of the camera, which live stream selling, right? I'm sitting there looking at her thinking, you could be a multimillionaire doing this live streaming. But she was like, I just decided to hire a who in every area of my business that would require computer screen time.
Smart.
Right?
Genius.
And she's like, so I have my who that does this, a who that does that, a who that does this. And she said, all these functional roles are critical to my business. I can't build a funnel if I don't have someone who knows how to get on Kajabi and do that. I don't know how to do billing and accounting if I don't have someone who's managing that. But I basically put a human in on every single task that requires screen time. And then now I'm free to be me. And this is how we make money.
Yes.
And she goes, I walk around town with you today and I'm shooting content and I'm going to convert that into ads, and I'm going to be making money just from our walk today. And I thought, gosh, this is such an amazing time, guys, to be alive. This is our moment. This is right this second. You have no idea the multi-millions you're sitting on that you could convert in this moment just by the tools you have laying around your house.
Yes. And I love that you shared that she found all the right people to put in those seats to make sure she was not doing the things she didn't want to do. Like, that's what we all need to be doing in our business, because for those of us that actually want to build a business beyond ourselves, I see so many times, founders are stuck. Like, I'm wearing all the hats, I'm doing absolutely everything. And like, that's okay, like in the beginning, just to start to learn. But the only way to scale your business is to bring in people, or now you can train some of these AI tools to do a lot of this work too, but you have to be able to delegate other things in your business, because no one's building $1 billion business by themselves as one person. You have to build team and support.
It's true. And what I would say, knowing now what I know, is I use a tool that I assess by profile of best qualified person for the profile of role, meaning there's no pass or fail on this test. There's zero like, oh, this is good hire or bad hire. What it shows you is this is this person's zone of genius. This is what they wake up and they like. Life giving to them is data and spreadsheets. It's data entry. They live for data entry. And the more they can accomplish and the more perfect it is and data-driven, the happier they are. And in fact, their dream is to never talk to anyone and just do data. So I look at that and I think to myself, that is exactly what I need, because that's the opposite of anything that I am good at.
Yeah.
And what a perfect opportunity to give someone their best life ever by giving them the job that they excel in, by doing the things you need them to do that you shouldn't be doing.
Absolutely.
Right? And the world is interesting right now. I'd say a very sizable portion of my overhead related to team is now all overseas. I would say, we have a very robust team in various areas of purchasing, supply chain, accounting, regulatory, and most of them are overseas. Some American and some not, but I think people want to be digital nomads in a way. They want, even if they have a job, they want the flexibility to be with their family or go take care of their medical appointments and do the things they need to do.
Yeah, we did the same. We have so many team members now at Entrepreneista that are overseas as well, and they're absolutely incredible.
Incredible.
Yes.
Isn't that fun?
Yes, it's the best.
And the world is funny. So what was his name that did the 4-hour work week? Tim Ferriss.
There you go.
Thank you. Of course. Sorry,
I'm like,
Tim.
end of day. You're not going to get.
Tim, I'm sorry.
You will not get me to find names at the end of the day on a Friday.
No, not your thing. But I'll say Tim Ferriss is really brilliant, because I think I read his book when I was maybe in my first 3 to 4 years of being an entrepreneur. Same with Rich Dad, Poor Dad. There were a couple of books that like really made an impact on my career. And I loved his concept, even then, this idea of 4-hour work week. This is long before all the digital tools we have, right?
Probably 1-hour work week now.
It's probably like he's probably doing 0-hour work weeks. But the fun is getting to the idea that you can create income and work from things that don't feel like work. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So in terms of where you are now, Entrepreneista League, you've been in business now 3 years.
No more. So Entrepreneista started initially as our podcast, really on the side of running our agency. And then in 2020, the world changed in 2020.
Yes.
And Courtney and I were reimagining what our agency was going to be. We knew we were going to sell our agency at that time. And we knew Entrepreneista could be so much more. And we were hearing what are, going back to listening to your customers or your clients or your followers on social media. All of these women on social media who were following our podcast were sharing, I lost my job. I want to start a business. Can you help? Or I'm trying to pivot my business. Can you help? And Courtney and I were like, this is the time we have to go all in and help everyone. So we started building out Entrepreneista to be more than just our podcast and, towards the end of 2020. And I started focusing on it full time then in 2021 and started building the Entrepreneista League in May of 2021 is when we launched the Entrepreneista League.
Wow.
So yeah, it'll be 5 years this May.
Okay.
So,
And so in terms of you've now witnessed thousands of women who are entrepreneurs. Can you summarize for me and those listening the maybe 1, 2, 3 biggest areas of block or biggest areas of friction that women are facing and what you all offer or do to support that?
Yeah. So the first thing that I see is actually that confidence to believe that, so many of these women in the community, they've started their business because I would say we're in a time right now, it's never been easier to start a business, right? There's all of these tools that are out there. There's all of these resources that are out there that you can find, but it's very hard now to stay in business, right? So you can start a business, but how do you stay in business? And the confidence that I see from these women are like, okay, I knew I wanted to start a business. I started it. But now I don't feel confident to put myself out there. Can I really do the work that I'm saying I'm going to do? So building that confidence is something that we really see that a lot of women struggle with, and not just early on in business, even years into business as well.
Yes.
And by all of us coming together and having these conversations and learning from each other and supporting each other, that confidence just grows because you're realizing, one, you're not alone. Other people are feeling this way too.
Yeah.
And when you start building that confidence, you can go so much farther, faster in business as well. So that's the first thing that we see can be a challenge. The next thing is funding. So it is very hard to start a business with zero funding and have to, bootstrap a business and figure everything out yourself. And we all know the stats, right? In terms of venture funding, right? Only 2% of venture capital goes to women. But actually, most of us do not need venture capital to build a business. What we actually need is the education on what type of capital is right for our business.
Yes.
So we've started doing a lot of programming and content and learning inside of our community to really educate the women inside the community of what type of capital is actually right for your business.
Great.
Because for a lot of founders, and especially with service-based businesses, and we have founders all different types of business, right?
Totally.
You have to get educated on what type of capital is right for you. And if we're just looking at the headlines about I'm never going to raise venture capital for my business, you probably don't need venture capital.
Right.
What you might need is a line of credit or a credit card or, a business plan on figuring out, how much capital do you actually need to get your business off the ground.
Yes.
And when we get educated and have these conversations and can learn, then we can actually build a confidence and feel like we can make those right strategic decisions to be able to grow our business. So we've now built relationships with all different types of, credit card companies and business tools and loan companies and solutions to come in and educate our members and community to then make those right choices on how to grow and how to get that funding.
So smart. And so from the confidence side, because you said something very, very important, I see women starting businesses, but staying in business is the thing that is the trick. Where do you all jump in, or where do you parachute in when she's in month 5, month 6, month 7, and she's saying, I don't think I can do this anymore?
Yes. Well, the good news is that once women get into our community, a lot of them don't actually feel that way anymore because now they're surrounded by support. And I think for so long, so many of us, would try to build these businesses on our own, especially in 2020, right? We're all stuck inside trying to build these businesses. We can't go out and network because no one's getting together in person, and you feel like you don't have support.
Totally.
When you feel like you're going to give up, usually it's because you feel like you don't have support and people to go to.
Yes.
When you have a community where you can literally just post, and you might not know, obviously, all 3,000 people, but you can just post and share what's going on, and you have everyone who understands you and gets you.
100%.
You don't feel alone, and you can get all of those resources instantly. So we then, we have tons of programming inside of our community, and we have all, the replay library of all the past educational events that we've done. But really, the value is just that access to be able to have these conversations, share what's going on. A member is going to say hey, let's get on a call right now. Let me help work through that with you right now. And you have that access. And that is just invaluable. And this didn't exist before.
It's so true. One thing that I think is interesting is the amount of self-talk or self-sabotage, right, that can take place. It's like a cage match between you and you in terms of facing business obstacles, issues, and getting out of your own way. Do you guys address that specifically? And if so, how? What do you recommend to your entrepreneurs? How do you deal with that yourself?
Yeah, well, one, we all go through that, right? And especially when we go through hard times, but a lot of it is that mindset work. And, you have to figure out what's going to work best for you. Do you need to work with a coach or a therapist or go on a retreat and really learn how to train your mind? Because the mind, it's like muscle memory, right? Our brain, we can train our brains to do whatever we want it to do.
Yes.
And if we're just repeating negative thoughts over and over again in our mind, we're going to believe those negative thoughts, and those negative thoughts are going to become the reality. But if you literally, and this is something I used to do, and now I don't even need to do it anymore because I believe it, so I don't even need to look in the mirror and say this, but you literally just have to start looking in the mirror and tell yourself, I'm awesome, my business is amazing, I'm going to do all the things that I want to do, even if you don't actually believe that right now.
Right.
If you start telling yourself that story, you will start to believe that.
Yes.
And you will attract all of the greatness and the beautiful things to you, and you will attract all of the right positive people to come your way because you're speaking that to yourself and into the universe.
Yes. The other thing I found, guys, is when you're in that stuck place where your mindset's going and you've gotten the diagnosis or you've gotten the notice from your bank on some sort of an issue, or your biggest clients just said they're going to leave and go pivot. One thing that I would tell you that is number one most important thing is to get your physical body up out of your chair and go shake it off.
Yes.
Like, how animals shake when they're going through fear? Like, there is something to why Tony Robbins jumps on a trampoline before he goes up on stage. There's an energy, guys, that needs to move through you. That's a very important piece of feeling like you can overcome. Yeah. There's a physicality in motion that helps you break through mindset issues. And the second thing I always recommend, if you're facing something that feels like you can't overcome, is to go take a nap. Have you ever done that?
I'm someone who can't sleep during the day, even if I try.
Wow. Yes.
But getting up and taking a walk and just getting out of my seat.
You and I talked about that first day.
Yes, we got up and
we did it together. We did it together because physical moving of your body. And number two, before you react and freak out, go take an Advil, put on your eye mask, put on some soothing music, listen to something that makes you feel relaxed, and go take a nap.
Yes.
Because I promise you, it is such a game changer to wake up and be like, listening to that quiet voice that talks to you and says, hey, listen, think about it this way, or make this phone call, or reach out to this woman or man and let them know you're doing or dealing with this and see what they would advise or help you consider. All of that is mission critical to you resetting.
Yes.
And recalibrating your energy.
Yeah.
So for Entrepreneista League, those who are listening, if she's saying, because I'm hearing you, whoever you are, and you're like, oh, I can't afford to join, or that's for more successful women than I am. And so once I get my business to a certain size, then I can join something like Entrepreneista League, because I don't want to feel like I'm an imposter, like I shouldn't be in the room. Those 3,000 women belong there. I'm not sure I do. What would you say? What does it cost? And what's the get out of your own way incentive for them to call and get into the room with you at your next event?
Well, first I would say you do belong, because any woman that is building a business belongs inside the community, because that is literally why we created it. Courtney and I built what we wish we had day one of starting our business, and what we still need now as we're scaling our next businesses. Like, we utilize all of the resources. You better believe we utilize all the resources and support inside the community, and have built some of the closest friendships and relationships with our members. So every woman founder who is building a business, do not build your business alone. Like, you cannot afford to not be in the community. If you are serious about growing your community, you want the support, you want connection, and you don't want to build alone, because building alone is not fun. Correct. It is a lot more fun to build together with other awesome women. And there's women that are thinking about starting their business, and they're investing to join the community now so they can have all of those resources and community and fast track their success, because they have that access and connections. We have women in the community, like my friend Gwen, she scaled her business and sold it for $100+ million to Unilever and everything in between, right? And Gwen's now on to her next business. And guess who she hired to help her launch her next business?
Who?
all the women in the community.
Yes.
She hired her agency to do her branding and to do her email and for PR and for her personal brand, everyone in the community.
Amazing.
Because that is the circle. Like you're on to your fourth, fifth, sixth business.
I am.
Like we're in here for life together because we're building together. So if you're thinking I should not be in here yet, like look in the mirror and tell yourself you belong because you belong in here. So the way our membership works, you can join and you get in for your first year. It's $1,497 for your first year of membership. But because you are listening to this episode, I'm going to give you a code to give to all of your listeners as well.
Okay.
So can we link out to it in the show notes?
For sure.
Okay. I don't know what the code is yet, but we're going to link out to whatever code we're going to create for you in the show notes right now to give you $500 off your first year of membership. So it'll be under $1,000 for your first year of membership.
Run.
Yes. Now, in your second year of membership, it gets even better. You can stay as part of the community for only $497 a year.
Wow.
We wanted to make this as accessible as possible for every founder to be part of Entrepreneista, to be able to receive and to give and to have a community that everyone is going to have the support.
Stephanie, it's huge. Thank you. And what I will tell you, if you're coming from a mindset of like, well, I don't even have $1,000 right now, I'm feeling really... That is a scarcity mindset. I promise you that you will have your dues paid for within the first week, and what you put in, you get out.
Yes.
And I watch it over and over and over again. Do you know how much I invest every single year in either private coaching, masterminds, or my memberships? $150,000 a year.
Yeah, like tens of thousands of dollars. Courtney and I did the same. So as we were building our first business, and I can tell you again, if you're someone who's first starting and you're thinking of starting in your first few years of business, you do have to decide where you're going to invest and where you're going to spend your dollars. They're all very important. Literally day one after Courtney and I quit our corporate jobs to go all in on our first business, the first thing that was recommended to us was to join a networking group. And I remember we went to that first meeting, Tracy, and I'm like, oh my God, this is where I belong. This is amazing. They let you go to like one trial event. And then I found out what it costs. And it was going to be a couple $1,000s a year to be in this networking group. And Frank, Courtney's family friend, who was the one who referred us to this group, we were like, how are we going to afford this? And he said the same thing that I share with everyone now. You can't afford not to be in this. I grew my entire business. He has a printing company, still has his printing company. He's like, you have to be in this group. Put it on a credit card. Like it will pay off. So that's what we did. We had no money. We were just starting our agency. We had a couple clients for like $300 a month back then. And we did it. And we invested and everything. It was like we talk about the breadcrumbs, Tracy. One thing just led to the next. We got all of our first big clients from that group. We got all of our first speaking engagements from that group. And those speaking engagements led to us meeting our mentor. And like everything just came from that because we believed in ourselves.
That's right.
We knew we were going to build and we invested in ourselves. And if you're building a business, you have to believe in yourself and you have to want to invest in yourself.
Period. And the momentum, guys, the energetic momentum, there is a frequency. We are all energy. It is tangible. You can science back this. You can read about it. If you are not willing to step into your future self and have the momentum of moving forward and trusting that you are going to build something bigger and greater, then you have already quit. You've already quit.
Yeah.
So push yourself into those things that expand you and make you afraid, even when it means spending money on things you think you can't.
Yes.
Because how else are you going to build and scale?
Yes. You're always going to have to invest. You have to do it.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being here today. Is there a place other than the code that people will get in the show notes? Is there a place they can actually just follow you and Courtney and learn more?
Yeah, so we're on Instagram at Entrepreneistas with an S at the end. I'm personally, of course, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, Steph Jill Cartin on Instagram. Look for me on LinkedIn, Stephanie Cartin. Send me a DM. I love connecting with everyone in the DMs. I love building relationships. So send me a DM, say you listen to this episode, and let's connect.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. And I will catch you on the next episode. See you soon.